everyone. Today we're going to attempt to fix the hinges on an E4350. If you look at the line here, this starts to chip, and you can see that it starts to come apart. You can kind of see that it's not lined up anymore. The door is bulging out, and I can show you why in a second. And then down in here, it's all rubbing off. The reason for that is that after years of being driven, because before I owned it, it was a fleet vehicle, the door is super heavy. People will open it and let it just swing open, and this pushes. And as you can see right down the line, it looks like someone tried to fix it already once, but the door's separating here. And it's separating because A, this thing is pushing on it, and B, the metal on the door itself is thin, can't really handle the weight, and you can see here that it is cracking. That is something I am going to have to figure out before I get that pretty common Econoline front fender dent in from the door. Another reason why this is all happening is that the hinge is worn out. I got new pins. I'm going to try to put them in myself. All right. Start with the top. Side here. The thing lifts up. Get the speaker off. That is the bolt on the other end, the nut, so to speak. It looks like it is firmly attached to the wall of the door, so I'm not going to have to get my hand back there, hopefully. I have removed all of the wires from the door. The actuator, the lock actuator, was a little tricky to get out. That was this. It was this one here. It was way in there, and you have to get something underneath that little clip and then pull it down. I had to use one of these guys. That was difficult. The rest of it was pretty easy, except this thing, which holds all of the lock and window buttons, does not fit through the hole. It gets about halfway through, and then it gets caught on this little lip here on either side. It does not go through. So there's two options that I can see. These little units that hold on to the electrodes, whatever the hell they're called, can come out if you squeeze them together and pull them out. But I've tried doing that. The tool that you have to use to get in there and squeeze it together so you can pull it out would have to be tiny. I had this thing here, which is the right size to get in, but as you can see, it's not strong enough to push the unit in. So the other option obviously is to cut all the wires and then get them through and then reconnect them afterwards, which alright, so I tried a bit more to get these things to pop out of here so that I didn't have to cut the wires, but it was sort of futile. I decided, well, I might as well just go ahead and cut them. So I marked all the ones that are identical, cut them up, put some connectors on them, connectors on this side. Hopefully when all is said and done, it'll all go back together easily, and I'll just throw some, I have some heat activated wraps that'll go over all the metal parts. So that's that. It's out of the door. The hole is now empty. The door is ready to come up. So there is a very good chance that this door is going to fall forward when I start pulling the bolts out. I have no idea how much it weighs, so you guys get to come along for the ride. The bolts are a 13 mil ratchet or socket, and there are 4 of them. So here we go. Not that bad. It didn't fall. Thanks. Excellent. Now we've got the door off. You can really see where our issues were coming from in terms of the hinge, anyway. The pad, like the grommets or whatever you call them, are all worn out. And you can see it going back and forth. And I'm just putting a little bit of pressure on it. When you add the entire weight of the door, things go back and forth way worse. So that's happening on the top and the bottom. Luckily for me, there doesn't appear to be any damage to the hinge itself or the body here. So in terms of the hinges, all I can do is replace the pins. So I'll probably do that first, because that's the low-hanging fruit. So here we go. The top and the bottom hinges are identical, so I'm just going to show you the bottom one. You can see the pin goes through and it flanges out on the top. It's not any sort of thing that I can unscrew or pry off. I'm going to have to drill through it, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and, I was going to do a pilot hole, but it looks like there's a divot here that'll hold the drill in place. So I'm just going to take a 1/2-inch drill to it, and the drill will take off that flange and hopefully just drop the pin through. See how it works. Slow this thing down. Still going. Oh, there we go. That's the ticket. Oof, that thing is just about interesting. I'm gonna have to pound that through. It looks like it's just about as flush as it could be. So we'll get something to hit it with. Let's see how it works. I got a nail set and a sledgehammer. And let's pray it goes through and I didn't just drill into something that was welded all together. So with a little bit of persistence, I was able to get a little bit of traction on this. The pin, as you saw before, I had drilled it right down to be flush with the rest of the hinge, and it looked, I swear to God, it looked like it was like welded in there, and I got really nervous. So I took my angle grinder with an abrasive cutting blade, and I just cut it through and took out a chunk, so that it was, you know, not attached to the whole thing, and I was able to, with that same hammer and nail set, I was able to pound out the top piece of the hinge pin. So good news on that. This actually looks like it's the exact same size. Let's see if it fits. Yeah, buddy. There you go. Hey, there you go. That's a ticket. Came out. It is, all torn apart and gross. I bought these off Amazon, Red Hound. There's a part number. I have yet to try them out, so I'm kind of working on faith here that they're actually going to fit. Alright, so we got these things out. We got both the hinges off. I got to take out the old bushings and put in, see if the new ones fit in without any trouble. Really hoping that they just go right in there and don't require me to drill or anything like that. We'll see. Alright, I'm going to want to clean those up a little bit first, though, so we'll see what happens when I put these in. Yep, they fit right in there. And they're designed to be pressure fit, obviously. So I'm going to have to squeeze them in a little bit, but it didn't take a whole lot of effort to get it into the hole like that. So the hinges are cleaned up. I've got the bushings in on either side. They're not as tight as I would like them to be, and I think that's has something to do with the fact that the holes have been elongated after years of not having a very good bushing in there. But anyway, they're in there. They're good. I'm going to keep the hinge pins in there until I have a chance to connect them back up to the door, and then once they're on the door, I'll put everything back together. Something I didn't mention earlier, I was able to get the second pin out without having to slice through it. So I just drilled the top out with that 1/2-inch bit, and then gingerly tapped it out with a nail set. Little hits until it came out, and then it finally came out, and all is well. Alright, so here's what we're dealing with the door. When the door's swinging open, obviously the hinge is holding on right here, and the door keeps going and ended up sort of pulling the metal out, and eventually we got a crack right here. This is pulled out a little bit. I can't really tell on this side how bad it is. Doesn't look too terrible. Actually, I think I see a crack on there too. Shit. Alright, well, the crack on that one, if I look really closely, I don't see any cracks on this one. I'm going to have to bash it in a little bit with a rubber mallet. I'm going to have to probably, my plan is to just sort of grind that out with an abrasive disc. It'll widen the gap a little bit, but it'll clean it out. I won't be able to weld. I've got a TIG welder. I don't have MIG, so everything needs to be a lot cleaner. So I'm going to have to open that up a little bit to clean it out. Get all of the paint away from there, and then weld it shut. The other part is that the door panel itself, and if you can see the gap here, this is where the real paint begins, and the primer and the paint connect, and you can see that the metal should be going that way a lot more. Somebody obviously tried to fix this sometime in the past, because they got a couple of MIG welds, spot welds, so I'm going to have to grind that out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand that out. I'm going to take a rubber mallet and maybe a 2x4 and just bash that in to get it to where it needs to be, and then see if I can just sort of maybe spot weld it again, but maybe a little better. Really doing much at all. Alright, well, I think I'm going to just sand that all out, try to weld it together. Let's see how well that goes. So I've gone ahead and I've obviously I sanded it. I showed you sanding it. I just went over it with some acetone. I got my tungsten nice and sharp, and I've even I went ahead and ran the filler metal through a cloth of acetone as well. All of that, and it probably won't be enough because I can't get the paint off the back side of this. So I'm going to give it a shot, and we'll see how it goes. I'm going to go through with the lap disc, take some of the metal off of this and see what else I have left to do. This part over here is done. It's not pretty, but I'm hoping it'll hold. I'm going to start putting the tacks over here. I was able to get a weld all the way across that big crack. It's not pretty, but you know, it's better than having a huge crack. The tacks I was planning on doing on this side aren't working out because I can't get a bead on the larger panel quick enough to connect it to the next piece before the paint underneath melts and this piece of the metal just kind of burns away. I got a couple of tacks on there. I got a good one here, I got a little one here, a little one there, and a little one there. I think it's going to have to do. The little crack on this side I was able to fill no problem. It actually looks like a decent weld. So I'm going to go ahead, sand this all down, hit it with some more acetone, and prime it, paint it, be done with it. I'm going to put the hinges back on. You can hear me over the kids playing with their pumpkins. These things sort of move around quite a bit. I have a feeling that I'm going to get the hinges on there and I'm going to have to adjust them. But I'm going to get them on there basically for now. Get the door back on the van and we'll take it from there. Right, so this has proven to be a little bit more difficult than I thought it would be. Oh, there it goes. So Sarah, say hi.
Hi.
Is going to help me. I'm going to lift, she's going to put the pin in. Okay. We go. That's it. Right. The pins are now in. Came together all right. It doesn't shut anymore, so I'm going to have to adjust where the hinges are mounted. I still have the door panel and the wiring to put back on. Remember, I have to deal with this chaos. But when that's back on, I'll take one last video. The door is back on. It opens. There's no grinding noises anymore. Shuts like a charm. It's not sitting on the body anymore. And it's not rubbing anymore. So this is, as you can see right here, that's where it used to sort of sit. If I open it up, sure as heck looks like it is. But if you get nice and close, you can see there's about an 1/8 inch gap. And that's good enough for me. Door, everything's put back together. All of the wiring is back in. And the door, I tested the doors, the windows and locks, everything is working as it was before. So that's it.